Hello, my friends. Glad to be with you here once again. And I know for about you, but last week was very high voltage for a lot of people again. Power. It was all about power. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Most of this month is going to be high voltage, just like that. A lot of high energy that's going on. So the theme and the karmic lessons of power are going to continue. So, where last week, hopefully, I had encouraged you to discover, your abilities, aka your superpowers, and to develop them. You all have very unique collection of talents and abilities that were meant really to be as a gift to yourself and to the world. But it comes to my point: a superpower doesn't really do much unless if it's shared. And that's why today I'd like to talk about making connections, and the way you can also discover how to apply your superpowers. So, with that, one of the first connections you need to make, and I know to some of you it might sound a little odd, is connecting with yourself. And although it might sound odd, think about it. How many times we get so caught up in the doing of things that we even forget to eat? I mean, we're so disconnected even from our own bodies that this is what happens. So, with this in mind, really one of the first connections to make in order to be able to harness your superpowers is checking in with yourself. Be honest. Where are you that day? How are you feeling physically, mentally, spiritually? And honoring that. There'll be some days that sometimes the best thing you can do is just be in your own space. And then there'll be other days that you're ready to take on the whole world. So that would be one of the first things that I would say to you is just honor and check in. And with that, to what level or to what degree? And then, of course, being able to connect with others. And I had to laugh because I had seen this small cartoon, and it was a two panel, and it had making friends was the top caption, the headliner, and in the bottom it had child and adult. And then they had the adult one at work, at a lunch table and completely angsting about, oh my gosh, I eat lunch with these people every day. You know, I don't talk to them very much. What do they think of me? They must think I'm a total jerk. And completely angsting out, well, maybe they want to be friends, maybe they don't. And then the second panel was two young kids on a swing and just swinging, playing a good time. And one says to the other, what's your name? And says, oh, you know, my name is Susie Q. And then the other kid goes, want to be friends? And Susie Q goes, yeah. And then they go off and play. And then, the final caption on the bottom says, what happened? you know? And I think that it's kind of going to the point where with making connections, we can overcomplicate things. Sure, when you're a child, life is a lot simpler and not nearly as complex as it is when we're older. And perhaps because we also don't have the perceptions of the complexities for good or for bad. So I'm just going to say with this little caveat, where again you feel that the person or persons that are there are safe, you feel that desire to make some sort of connection with them, then the first thing, believe it or not, is aside from maybe being in a conversation or introducing yourself, is really listening. And it's a superpower that takes time to develop. It's not always the easiest to do. But when you do it, think about it. When someone listens to you, don't you feel good? You feel seen, you feel understood. And that's one of the first things that really allows for somebody to sense that you are present for them, that will entice them to get closer to you. And when you do this, when you listen, yes, of course, paying attention to what it is that you want to say next to respond to have a good conversation is important. But if you get so caught up in what you want to say, then you lose track of what's actually being shared. So when you listen, listen with your entire being. You know, pay attention to not only what the person is saying, but the inflection of their voice, their body language. Because when we speak, especially when we're able to see each other, we speak with our entire being. So we can also sense when someone is listening with all of their being. And one of the mental tricks that I use, and I don't know if I want to call it a trick because I do like listening and paying attention. I learn so much because I love learning. Is if you want to say, okay, I really want to be present, but I find it difficult, then play the little head game with yourself that, you know what, when this person is done speaking to me, I might need to recite if someone asks, what did this person say? And of course, again, it's just merely, if you will, a head game that you play with yourself, but try it out. If you say, oh my gosh, I need to be able to repeat or at least paraphrase what this person has said to me, you're going to find that suddenly you're going to perk up and pay attention a whole lot more than, just going on through. So, aside from the listening, and again, the body language of being open, is just being able to create a common grounds. The common grounds could come through an interest, talking about an interest. Sometimes it's a lot easier to talk about something else than focusing on ourselves or a common goal if you're with a group. And you say, well, Skyfire, how does this apply with a superpower? Well, not yet. Remember that one of the karmic lessons of this week is learning how to apply your superpower while you're still continuing to develop it. So when you find a common grounds or a common goal, this creates a, if you will, a safe place or platform, something to talk about or to focus on, where you can be with the other person or people's company. And it makes it, I'm going to say, where you're not necessarily feeling uncomfortable, somebody's eyes are on you. And I know several people, well, because of with COVID that has happened, and being mostly at home for, well, like for yours truly was home for mostly for more than a year, that us beginning to come out and to literally meet with each other again, some of us are going, yay, and others are going, oh my Lord. Okay. But regardless of where on that particular spectrum you are, you're going to find that some parts might feel a little odd or awkward because it's been a while. So again, allowing for that sense of just focusing on something else other than maybe directly on each other, if it's a new person, can make it feel more comfortable for everybody. And another thing that's really nice is, say that, all right, everybody's cool with everybody else, but it's still kind of surface. And maybe like those two kids in the swing, you like to make a friend, something more than just a casual passing by. Then share a story about yourself. Let it be a short story. And but what this does is it allows for the other person to see you as a human being, and it entices them to share theirs. And I don't know about you, but sometimes some of my best times have been, particularly when it's been nice, a summer or fall night when the evening has been good, and being around a fire with friends and just enjoying sharing stories. And then from there, it just rolls on to like just funny things, and suddenly you blink and the night has gone by. So just sharing something about yourself allows for the other person to see you as human, to connect with you. And then with listening, once they share their story, listen very carefully with an open heart, because an open heart is literally one of the signs of an open mind as well. And other people can truly sense that. So these are little things, just little things. And as I had written in my post this week, don't underestimate the power of small gestures, kind gestures. They can have tremendous impact. And from little things build one on top of the other. And I mean this in a good way. Then much larger, stronger relationships and even projects can happen. So think about, even if we go in the physical, building takes time. I don't care if it's building friendships, I don't care if it's reaching for your dreams, uh, developing a stronger health, developing your superpowers, your spiritual gifts, whatever it is. Anything worthwhile is going to take time. And in order to be able to get from here to there, at least know how you would like to feel, and have what I call a thumbnail sketch. The more that you can really articulate uh, a goal, whether it be deepening a bond or making friends, or building a community. So just like in the physical, I like to use my physical examples. Think of any ancient, beautiful wonder of the world. It could be the pyramids, it could be the Great Wall of China, it could be anything you think. Think about those ancient buildings, the temples that were found around the world. And how were they built? Well, with a lot of sweat and hard work, which is what anything worthwhile is going to require. And typically, one stone upon another, a stone on its own doesn't do much. We holding back to ourselves and our abilities, you know, can't do as much as when we work together and connect together. Just like these buildings, these beautiful temples of old, or some of you, if you might fancy castles, one stone built on top of another. So the more that you can really begin to express and be receptive to receive what the other person wants to uh, reach for with you with the goals, that is a starting point. And be ready to, I'm going to say, if it's an ability of any type, practice every day. Every day. I know it can be rough. Um, and don't condemn yourself if you can't. But the more that you do something, the easier it becomes. Think about something that you do now that you just is like second nature. Well, once upon a time it wasn't. You know, anytime I know I've begun to learn something, I feel about as natural as sneezing with my knees. It's doesn't come easy, but you do it so often that what was awkward once becomes smooth as silk as you go on. So the same thing is to be said here, that if you begin to practice every day, and think about this is even more true when building a relationship or building a community. These are very much what you put into them, and the quality of what you put into them is what you're going to get out of them. Now, I want to mention something very quickly that kind of connects with this piece. And whenever you are building something, expect for pitfalls and failures to happen. It's going to happen. All right. So just, again, hang loose with it in that way. So the reason why I say that, even if you are with someone and you might even know them well, you might accidentally step on some toes. But depending on how you respond to that failure, if you will, or that misstep, really spells how the rest of it is going to go. So if people are going to be angry and freak out and hold grudges, and if you're going to be judging and condemning yourself, then you get into this dark space, and then you just want to withdraw. And then you and the world become a poorer place because you're not in it, and your superpowers are not as well. But if you take it as a learning opportunity, learning about the other person, learning about yourself, and it's true about relationships, just because you like feeling supported and loved in a certain way, don't assume that the other person likes it exactly that way. So again, that's part of that listening part, but again, it's mutual. So instead of it being one way or the other for that individual, you can speak to them in their language, whether it be, if we were to go for the languages of love, it'd be quality time and gifting, kind words, whatever the languages are. But you can honor them in the way that they want to be honored, and they can do the same for you. But if they share their way of doing it, then realize that that was a gesture. And the same thing with you, mutual understanding. So again, when failures happen, mishaps happen, you know, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Take it for what it is. It's a natural occurrence. And as long as you and the other person are trying very hard to grow from it, to learn better, not just ignoring it, then things can become better. Oh, and here's the other thing that's really neat too. If you are truly taking time to build and to listen and to grow, there could be some really awesome discoveries. Like one thing that I'll give you an example for me, and a shout out to Tanya in Germany from Pega Piggies, and to Sarah from Hazel Alry down in Florida. And it began as just simply admiring their artwork on Instagram. Then we became messaging with each other, messaging back and forth. And they inspired me to begin sculpting. Just simple, plain. I like doing Wolpertingers, which are essentially jackalopes with wings, sometimes with a little wolf fang. And from there, I can't say that I'm great, but I'm not half bad. I've never really done it. I've never been professionally trained as an artist, but it gives me great pleasure. And it was a discovery, a hidden talent that, I didn't even know that I had, except for making these two friends. One is in Germany, the other one is living close to the Everglades, that they really give me encouragement. And I have given them encouragement for other things as well that this happens. So, with that, with the discovery that, I'm not going to be professional because I enjoy being my fun thing. But I'm discovering that my little sculptures really make people smile. So who knows? Now they're trying to encourage me to put an Etsy shop. We'll see. But regardless of which, that's what I wanted to share with all of you today, that anything worthwhile to build takes time. Be open to what will happen along the way. Some of the lessons might be a little bit tough when you're stepping in each other's toes, but others can be really kind of cool things that were hidden that are suddenly revealed. And then the final thing that I'll say with all of this is, with that, just really appreciate, showing appreciation for each other. So once you have this listening, these connections are being made, then we can go to, again, the superpowers, the abilities that you wanted to grow. And who knows, by the time you hit this stage, maybe you've automatically stumbled upon the people or the group to share them with. But if not, if you're with people or the discovering of a group, and you've now listened, you've now begun developing your skills. It doesn't matter, you don't have to be a pro. You could be just starting, it doesn't matter. But then you can share the part of you that you want to share for those who are receptive and who might need it. So you become, the superhero that comes right on time, perhaps even in the nick of time. But don't take away from yourself. That's what I'm going to say. Each of you have wonderful abilities. Each of you have something wonderful to contribute to the world. And when you do this, will the world still have some bitterness and darkness? Yes. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a job for superheroes, right? But in this lesson of power, using the breath of the Creator, the breath of life found within all of us, if we really focus on how to apply it to build a beautiful web of life around us, then the earth herself will shine and the future generations will have a beautiful world to walk into. So, with this, my friends, I really again appreciate you listening. And as always, if you're able to like, comment, and share wherever you are with others who would have an interest, it really helps a lot. It means so much. And to keep this wave of positivity going. So until the next time, again, my friends, from my heart to yours, bright blessings always. Be at peace. And again, Wanishi, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'll see you next week.